In a remote monastery perched high in the misty mountains, there lived an old monk known for his profound wisdom and serene demeanor. His teachings attracted seekers from all walks of life, including a wealthy but anxious merchant named Hiroshi. Hiroshi's fortune was vast, built through years of tireless trade. Yet, despite his wealth, Hiroshi was consumed by a gnawing fear of losing it all. He slept poorly, tormented by nightmares of poverty and ruin. Desperate for peace, he journeyed to the monastery, hoping the monk could offer him solace. "Master," Hiroshi began, his voice trembling, "I am rich, but I live in constant fear of becoming poor. How can I find peace and ensure I never run out of money?" The old monk gazed at Hiroshi with compassionate eyes and said, "Come with me." He led Hiroshi through the tranquil monastery grounds to a small, secluded garden where an ancient tree stood, its branches heavy with fragrant cloves. "Take one clove from this tree," the monk instructed, "and place it in a jar at your home. Every day, add another clove. If you do this faithfully, you will never be out of money again." Hiroshi was puzzled but decided to trust the monk's enigmatic advice. He returned home and followed the monk's instructions, placing a single clove in the jar each morning. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. As the cloves accumulated, something remarkable began to happen. Each day, as Hiroshi placed a clove in the jar, he found himself pausing to reflect. Gradually, his focus shifted from his wealth to the simple, grounding ritual of adding a clove. His fears slowly diminished, replaced by a growing sense of calm and contentment. One night, a fierce storm descended upon the town. Lightning cracked the sky, and thunder shook the earth. Hiroshi's mansion was struck, and a fire broke out, threatening to consume everything he owned. In a panic, Hiroshi ran to the garden where his clove jar was kept. Miraculously, the fire was extinguished just before it reached the jar. Hiroshi was shaken but unharmed. As he stared at the jar, filled almost to the brim with cloves, he realized that the monk's advice had given him something far more valuable than a simple ritual. It had given him resilience. The daily act of placing a clove in the jar had taught him to focus on the present, to cultivate patience, and to find peace in the midst of chaos. The next morning, Hiroshi returned to the monastery, his heart overflowing with gratitude. "Master," he said, bowing deeply, "your wisdom has saved me. I understand now that the cloves were never about money, but about learning to live in the present and find inner peace." The old monk smiled, his eyes twinkling. "Indeed," he said softly, "true wealth is not in gold or possessions, but in the peace of mind. When you trust the process of life and live each moment fully, you discover a richness that no disaster can take away." Hiroshi left the monastery with a newfound sense of purpose. He continued his daily practice, each clove a reminder of the wisdom he had gained. From that day forward, he lived not in fear of losing his wealth, but in gratitude for the peace he had found within. And in this way, he was never out of money again, for he had discovered the true meaning of abundance.